Hey y'all, it's Christy Gessler, the Dependent Agent. I want to welcome you out to the Freedom Ranch today. It's a beautiful day in July here in Central Texas, and decided to give you some content and some information and some ideas from my home. This is it. This is the place. Yeah, I've talked about it in previous episodes. The Freedom Ranch kind of was born from the Freedom 512 Real Estate Group, and back in 2019, I've talked about it. There was a lot of reasons why I was looking for freedom and liberation, and I found it out here on this 5-acre property. So I thought it would be a good time to share with you guys about or share with you where I sit. And I sit from this very rocking chair a lot of mornings when it's not, already in the 90s come 9 a.m. here in Central Texas, and have a cup of coffee. And this is where I can process a lot of things. And so I've been obviously doing a lot more of this in the quarantine world. But I thought what I wanted to share today was about this game that we all seem to have to play. And over the years, I have looked at and learned about this game of life from a lot of different perspectives. When I was growing up, I was a competitive tennis player. My dad was a huge inspiration to me and my mom, and they were super supportive. And I played competitive tennis throughout my youth. It started when I was about 6 years old. Played tournaments, competitive, recreationally, high school. I loved it, and I was good at it. And I was really starting to garner some great success. And my dad always instilled in me, you have to be a steward of the game. You have to be a master of this game and understand the game of tennis before you can learn how to play it. You can't go in and play the game without understanding it. You'll run yourself ragged, look like a fool, probably get injured, get frustrated, and quit. So learn the game first. Well, remember, I said I started when I was very young, so a lot of these lessons and messages were coming at me when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. It's kind of a lot to take in as a young child. So I was, learning how to play the game of tennis. Not only the game, but learning the game. And so my dad had a great phrase that I loved. And, when you're 9, 10, 11 years old and you're playing tennis and really possibly launching into something bigger than you ever thought you could, and that might be some really competitive tennis. I was in a qualifying match for the U.S. Open when I was 13 years old, and that was pretty remarkable. But he said, second place is the first place loser. If you think that way, you might not want to be second place, so you might put forth a little more effort, leave it all on the court. And so I think about that all the time, and I've told people that over my life. I'm like, well, my dad, when I was about 10 years old, his words of wisdom were the second place is the first place loser. And it's just kind of a funny phrase that obviously it's memorable, but it really drives me a lot in my life. And so as I started to continue to grow up and, determine whether tennis was a path or whatever, and I was kind of learning that I liked my University of Texas experience a little bit more than truly competitive tennis. But it was all still about the game. And as I'm getting into life, I'm learning that the game is ever changing and it's evolving, and I've got to learn the game before I know how to play it, like my dad said. So fast forward to when I was working as a broker, now in charge of a lot of recruiting, a lot of numbers. I have shared openly my experience with Keller Williams was a wonderful experience on so many levels, and so devastatingly destructive on a lot of other levels. And one of the levels I find destructive was the game. And brokers still play it. We have to play it today, but it is the game of recruiting. It is the game of manipulation. It is the game of lying to others to try to get them to believe you. It is this game of, when I was a team leader at Keller Williams and I was recruiting agents, I wanted with everything in my fiber to be a good broker to them. But the game was in the numbers. It wasn't in individualized attention. The game in those years was in the numbers. In fact, John Davis, at that time the CEO of Keller Williams, he was the numbers guy. This was it. These were record-setting numbers. But it was about the numbers, and again, about the game. A lot of people that I worked with, and a lot of people I worked with, because of the pressure that we were under, succumbed to the pressure, and they cheated on those numbers, and they lied about their reports. And I found the pressure driving me more and more into alcohol. And, wasn't helping anybody, but clearly I wasn't playing the game. Here's why. As I sit here reflecting on this front porch, I think I wanted to change the rules of the game back then. I thought, I've got a better way. And I even remember having this conversation with leadership at the time and other agents. I'm KW with an asterisk. And I wanted to think, that was cool because I was in the company, I was an owner, I was doing my thing, but I always took it at a different angle. And those are the people listening that worked with me in those years will know exactly what I'm talking about. I was trying to interject that really personalized broker attention with this game of numbers. And it wasn't working. In fact, it was actually falling apart miserably on a lot of levels. But I kept thinking I could change the rules. Well, why would I think that was possible? So again, it's in growth and development. I'm learning another set of rules of the game of life. I'm yet again learning that I can't change the rules. If I didn't think you should only have 2 turns to get a serve in the service box, that didn't matter. That was still the rule of the game. You had to get your serve in 1 of 2 shots. Okay. I might not have agreed with that if I'd missed those 2 shots, but, you can't change the rules of the game. And so I tried to at Keller Williams, I think, somehow change the rules of the game. Just didn't work. So I'm grateful that I had at least the ability. I'm pulling up some notes again because I have so many thoughts running through my head right now. It's kind of crazy. But this game led me into some pretty dark places and not managing the game very well. And I think that was one thing that rehab really taught me, was how to manage the rules of the game better. Not necessarily play the game, because to me playing the game starts to connote or connotate, I don't know those words sometimes, connotate manipulation and cheating. When you play the game, you cheat, you hide. I did so much of that when I was drinking that I don't want that to be the way I define how I play the game. And so luckily, going through rehab and some of those days there taught me a little bit about the game and falling into line. And I think that helped me understand my place a little bit better. And it helped me start to learn what I could control and what I couldn't control. And I think that understanding out of rehab was what started to give me very, very deep clarity on what I wanted out of my life. And I think in a lot of ways led me to this Freedom Ranch right here. It said, what is it that you want? You need to go out and get it. So as I was thinking about this episode and thinking about my journey as the dependent agent and just my journey in general, I was thinking about how this game is ever evolving and ever changing, and where I find the new rules of the game. I've kind of brainstormed some new rules of the game, and I kind of thought I'd like to share those with you now. Success, I think, is more a function of how well you play the game rather than the outcome at any given moment. So hurting someone's feelings, doing something negligent that might cause problems down the road. These are kinds of things that aren't really the measure of your success. And I certainly don't think the amount of money in your bank account is the measure of your success. But I do think how well you've played the game over the course of your life and your career is what is the true measure of success. I have this thing where you hear all the time, give, it's all about others, don't make it about yourself. I think the exact opposite is true. I think you have to look out for number one because nobody else is. There's not a single other person truly besides God above that's looking out for you the way you should be looking out for you. I didn't do that. I looked out for others. I gave. I was open with my heart. I was open with my time. I was open with my treasure. I was open with all of that, in many cases just to be burned in the ass down the road. And nobody was looking out for me or came my direction necessarily when maybe I thought I needed them most. And so in the end of the day, my new rules, it's all about you. It really is. It's okay to make it all about number one. It's okay to make it about you, taking care of yourself first, because I think once you're taken care of, you're going to do better for others. We all know that's true. I'm not saying anything new to anybody, but I'm just expressing some definite clarity. Man, if nothing else, one thing about this game, you better take some risks. Man, I have been so blessed with the ability to do so many wonderful things over the course of my various jobs, but it was all because I was okay with saying yes to a risk. So, gamble, try again. I mean, maybe stop trying after a while, because one thing I did like to tell my boys is, the first time is a mistake, the second time is a choice. So, you don't want to keep trying and beating your head against a brick wall, but, you do want to keep trying. Think creatively. I think if nothing else, a new rule or a revised rule is, I want to follow the rules, especially in this day and age with COVID and our pandemic, but I want these rules I want to find my way through the rules creatively. I want to find a unique path. I want to think of shortcuts that make things easier. I want to find ways that we can be more productive and more efficient when I work, when I help people, when I run my company. I want to be more efficient and think creatively so that when we are stuck with challenges, we've got some good solutions. And they're all coming from creative collaboration. Y'all, I'll tell you, that's where I need you to step in. I want to have more interactions on some of these ways to think creatively through running your businesses, through managing your association leadership, through managing your own life in these crazy times. Let's talk a little bit about creative ways that we've come up with getting on with our lives in a whole new set of rules. One thing COVID gave us is a whole new set of rules, and unfortunately nobody even knows what the rule book has in it. Pages are still blank, I think. Less is definitely not more. We need a lot more love and acceptance for sure. I went through so many years not feeling truly loved and accepted by people around me, and I honestly think they probably did love and accept me, but I didn't love and accept myself enough to receive it. So I think, less is not more. I don't like that phrase. I think more is more. Most of everything. More is better, but, who knows. To me, logical thought has left most of our minds right now. Laziness has taken over because we're so unsure about the rules of engagement right now. We're just so unsure about, as a broker, how do I run my real estate business? Are we allowed to do open houses or not? Are we allowed to go show property or not? Is a loan going to close or not? Who knows? I mean, we can go down so many different rabbit trails on what rule book has changed, because they've all changed. But I argue they've probably changed for the better. If we don't just get abjectly lazy about change and focus on some logical, creative thoughts in our lives, in our businesses, and in our ways of handling stress, I think we're all going to be better for it. I love it. Because here's the end of the day, in my opinion. The game is won and success is measured not by trophies, not by a big bank account, not by accolades on the front of a newspaper or a big social media blitz that shows you being an award recipient or something. And let me tell you what, I love people to toot their own horns. I like to toot my own occasionally. I am right there with congratulatory wishes all the way, all the way. But maybe it's time that we think that victory isn't that trophy. It's not that prize like that. It truly is peace in your soul. I think the prize in this game is peace. And I think you've won the game of life, or you're at least on the right track when there's peace in your soul. And I can tell you, sitting out here at this ranch, just being able to look at, since I've been sitting out here, there's been exactly one car drive by. And it is so peaceful and it is so calming, and there is such clarity out here that find your spot. Find a spot like this or any other place to have and to enjoy the peace in your soul that hopefully you're finding. So I'm a victim of the game as much as I'm an active player in the game. So we got to play the game. We got to play this game of life. Sometimes it's dirty, sometimes it's not fun. Every time you think it's going well, you got a hard conversation that gets to come back up again. But I think the definition of winning this game of life is peace in your soul. So work hard to find peace in your soul. Keep at it. It is definitely a journey, not a destination. So y'all take care and stay well. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. Do what's right. Make sure that you are staying socially distanced and covering up and making sure that we can get through this new set of rules with a rule book that we write together that seems to make some sense for everybody. So I appreciate y'all listening. I appreciate you coming out to the Freedom Ranch. Take care, and y'all have a great rest of your day. And again, get on Facebook, get on Instagram, get on YouTube. Shoot me up an email, send me a text. I don't know, boy, whatever your thoughts and ideas are, let's talk about it. Your business idea, if we can start to bring some collaboration together again on some of these topics, help me write this new rule book. Whether we start writing it in real estate, whether we start writing it in business and fearless business ownership right now. If you're a small business owner out there and you want to commiserate with me for a few minutes on what we're trying to deal with as small business owners, I'd love to talk to you about that too. So, hey, y'all reach out to me, Christy Gessler, the dependent agent. Y'all take care and stay well.